Hola Español 2, desde mi casa y también aquí tengo conmigo Coco. Pues Coco está aquí para aprender con nosotros la nueva gramática de hoy. Hoy es jueves y casi es viernes. Y recuerden, that's one of the commands, right? Recuerden que hoy tenemos horas de oficina a las 2:30. Si quieren venir, es opcional completamente. Pero feliz casi fin de semana. Happy almost weekend, right? Bueno, tengo para ustedes gramática. Es un poco complicada, más o menos, pero escuchen bien. Make sure you listen really carefully. Y todo esto está en el libro, describido también, described muy bien en el libro. Entonces, empezamos así en inglés. Okay? And I know there's some light kind of doing funny things on my glasses here, so who knows what I look like, but here we go. So pronoun placement with commands. So we've learned the commands. Let's just back up. Los mandatos. Last year, at the end of the year, and really the first part of this year, you learned the 2 commands, right? So now we're doing usted and ustedes commands, also called mandatos. You guys did a good job so far on the work that you've turned in. Really good job. Muy buen trabajo. Remember the big thing with usted and ustedes commands when you're telling somebody to do something or not to do something, that the ending of the verb for usted and ustedes, it actually switches to the opposite ending. So don't forget that. So now what we're talking about is when you need to put a pronoun in there with a command. And we'll talk about pronouns and do a quick review on that. So first up, you guys, so pronoun placement with commands. So in Spanish, the placement of pronouns depends on whether the command is affirmative or negative, because it's going to change. If it's a yes command, like do that, it'll be in one spot, the pronoun, and if it's a no command, like don't do that, the that will come in another place in the sentence. So first up, to review los pronombres, right? And reminding you what pronouns could be. So it could be, when you're putting these in with commands, it could be a direct object pronoun. Remember these me, te, lo, la, nos, os, los, and las. Remember the direct object pronoun is usually the thing the person gets, right? So I have it. So in that sense, so what do I have? It. And maybe it's a sandwich, lo tengo. Maybe I have la tarea. I have the homework, la tengo. So those are direct object pronouns. Remember that indirect object pronouns are usually the person the thing's intended for. So me, te, le, nos, os, and les. Something like he's giving her a gift. Le da un regalo, right? These are all in non-command sentences. But you've used these before, direct object, indirect object, and then also reflexive pronouns. Remember the reflexive verb chapter on acostarse, dormirse, levantarse, maquillarse. So the reflexive pronouns can also be included with commands, and those are me, te, se, nos, os, and se. So you might need to review those a little bit in order to get this all straight. There's a lot of words on this next one. Hay muchas palabras, so I might have to back up and because it's hard for me to read it from where I am. So basically, here's the thing. Let me see if I can get this up here. And I'll show the bottom here in just a minute. But here's how you do it. In affirmative commands, you attach the object pronoun to the end of the verb. You attach it so it becomes part of the verb. So the first one up is llévenos al supermercado. Take us to the market. And the lleve, if you just looked at the lleve on its own, that's from the verb llevar, right, to take. So this is an usted command because you can see it switched to lleve. Lleve, and then the nos is the us part. So you just attach it to the end of the verb. Llévenos al supermercado. Here's another one. Hay otro ejemplo. Pónganlas en la mesa. So here's your command, pongan. That's an ustedes command, right? You go to the yo form, pongo, take off the O, and then add the opposite letter A, and then the N, because it's ustedes, pongan, and then las en la mesa. The las goes at the end. Now the las could be something like put the homework assignments on the table. I don't know, pongan las would have to be feminine plural in this case. Now, here's the other thing, and this is where it gets a little tricky, and we did talk about this in class a bit. So notice that when a pronoun is attached to an affirmative command of 2 or more syllables, there is an accent that you have to add. So this is where things get a little tricky. So basically, if the original command without the pronoun, like lleve and pongan, if it has two or more syllables, which both of those do because they have two, lleve and pongan, then when you attach the pronoun, there has to be an accent on there. And I know we talked about this at one point, but who knows how many people caught this. Where the accent goes, basically it works like this. If you were to take the verb llevar and pronounce it in the yo present tense, and you would get llevo, right? So you're supposed to, hopefully you can hear, take that away for a minute. If you were to pronounce the verb llevo, like I'm taking something, you can hear, hopefully, the accent on the E, even though there's no written one. In llevo, you don't have one. And we don't need to talk about why because it's too complicated. But llevo, you can hear it in the llevo. So every time you pronounce, in these cases, when you're trying to figure out where to put the accent, take the verb, the original verb, in the yo present tense, say it out loud, and pretty soon you won't have to do this every time because it'd take you forever to get a command out, right? Ooh, yo present tense. Oh. So llevo, so the accent's going to go on the E. You're going to have to write it in there. Llévenos. In pongan, your original verb is poner, right? The yo form is pongo. So it's not pongo, right? It's pongo. You can hear the accent even though it's unwritten on the word pongo. You don't need one. But you need one here because the original command has two or more syllables. So you have to write it on the O. Pongan las. And it works every time. There's other ways to teach where to put the accent, but this is foolproof. It'll work every time. Now, in negative commands, when you're telling somebody to not do something, here you go, something different, right? So in negative commands, here's what happens. You place the object pronoun, before the verb and after no. So if I wanted to say, don't talk to me like that, don't be so rude, ay, 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 you would say, no me hable así. So here's the command hable from the verb hablar. You can see the opposite ending. This is an usted command. No me hable así. In other words, you can't say no hábleme así. You can't put it on the end of the command if it's a negative one. You can't do it. So don't try it. No lo intentes. That would be the to command. I should use the ustedes command, but you guys, no lo intenten. Don't try it. And then in the second one, no lo coman, don't eat it. Something's wrong with it. It's spoiled. No lo coman, right? So this might be something masculine again. No lo coman. Maybe it's bread, pan. No lo coman. So here's your no. Here's your object pronoun, and here's your verb. No lo coman. Sorry, there you go. Don't eat it. Now, there's a lot of things to think about. If it's an affirmative command, put it on the end. If the original command on itself, without the object pronoun, has two or more syllables, you have to add an accent. And the accent goes where in the Spanish pronunciation of the yo form, present tense of the verb, where you hear the accent in your voice, pongo, llevo, hablo, participo, hopefully you hear it on the second I, participo, comprendo, you hear it on the E, right? So you're going to have to hear that, and that's where the accent will go in the sentence. If it's a negative command, the pronoun goes before the verb and after the word no. It's a lot to think about. Es mucho de que pensar, pero sí se puede, you can do it. Creo que es todo por hoy. Este video bastante corto. Las dos palabras del día, porque antes, en el último video, there was no palabra del día. I give you guys a break on that. Pero hoy, I'm going to just make them up on the spot because I actually forgot. So how about the first one could be, I don't know, how about, this is random, taza. So this is like for a cup, like a cup of coffee. Una taza de café. Se escribe T-A-Z-A, taza, for a cup. Una taza de café. Let's see what else. Oh, how about this one? So we have here a globe of the U.S., and many of you could figure this out if you didn't already know it, but I'm going to give it to you anyway just because why not? Global. So global for globe, taza for a cup, with seta, with a Z in it. And globo, as you guys know too, can mean a balloon. Un globo is also a balloon, but in this case, it's a globe. So you could say, if you wanted to distinguish between the two, if you said something about un globo and somebody's like, que globo? you might say un globo de la tierra, like an earth globe rather than a balloon, whatever. Bueno, chicos, les dejo así. I'm going to leave you guys así. Y los quiero. Los echo de menos. Still love you. Still miss you. Hang in there, school. Yo creo que solo hay 15 días más. Más o menos 15 días. Es increíble, ¿no? Entonces, sí se puede. You guys can do it. Try to get your homework in on time because, and some of you, by the way, I'm going to say this really quickly. I haven't put some of the latest grades in because I've had so many things come in the last 5 days that I'm waiting till this afternoon or tomorrow morning to put them in. Because if I keep putting them in day by day, then it's visually hard on my ojos. So, but get your work in. I should be very updated by either the end of today or tomorrow morning. Bueno, chicos, hasta luego. Cuídense. Take care of yourselves.